There you go. This is Stacy McKibben with the Master Communicator podcast, where CEOs, senior leaders, and C-suite executives share their advice. It's 6 questions in 9 minutes because the best leaders know how to share their ideas concisely and quickly. Let's jump right in. Question number 1. In a few sentences, tell me who you are and what you do.
Sure. So I'm Kyle Waide. I'm the CEO of the Atlanta Community Food Bank. We're one of the largest hunger relief organizations in the country. And we provide about 65 million meals to 750,000 people every year in 29 counties in Atlanta and North Georgia.
Oh my goodness. Well, thank you so much for your work. And it's such an amazing accomplishment. I know, especially during today's crisis, folks like you are needed even more so than ever. So I appreciate
Thank you.
So I'm curious, as you kind of start to think about, being a community leader, what's the best thing about leading people from your perspective?
I think the most satisfying aspect of leading people is really around helping them develop and grow as individuals, helping them become even more effective and impactful in the roles that they have today, and to be positioned for roles where they can have even greater impact in the future.
I love that, because at the end of the day, it's really all about the difference we make, right? And so really helping others to make an impact truly, I think, is the goal.
Totally agree. I mean, I think, the folks that we have working for us at the food bank, they all care pretty deeply about our mission, but they're also trying to find ways to grow and develop their own careers. And we try to help them do both of those things, to have a really fulfilling, mission-oriented job, and to do things that allow them to grow and take on new challenges over time.
I'm curious, sometimes I'll hear from leaders, business would be great if it weren't for that pesky people part. I'm curious, what are your thoughts about a comment like that?
Well, that's hard for me to relate to. It's kind of like saying, friendships would be great without the friends. I mean, it's really impossible to imagine the work that we do, certainly at the food bank, if you didn't have people involved. I mean, we're a people business, and I think every business is really fundamentally that. And so certainly relationships are hard, whether they're in business or in our personal lives. But that's part of what allows us to grow and evolve as people, as leaders, as humans, is finding ways to connect with and adapt to the complexity of relationships around us. The folks who are best equipped to do that, in my view, are the ones who end up being the best leaders.
It's funny, anything worth, my mom used to always say, anything worth having was worth working hard for or worth fighting for, right? So as you talk about, relationships are hard, people part can be hard, but as you're suggesting, it's probably the most rewarding piece, or, kind of the most purposeful driven part.
Yeah, I just think we're in a world where what matters is how well you can kind of influence and engage others. And you don't do that just by getting people to do what you want. You do that by connecting with people. And so relationships are fundamental to everything that we do in life, I think, now. And I just can't, can't imagine being effective at my job if it were not, if I were not capable of connecting with the people around me.
So if I had a group of leaders sitting in front of you right now, what piece of advice about communication would you give to them?
I think great communication is less about, being poetic and extremely beautiful in the way that we talk and write. I think it's more about understanding what people are wanting and needing to hear, and be aware of and informed about when we're trying to communicate with them. So I think anticipating and understanding the needs of our audience, whether they're our employees, our peers, our partners, our employers and bosses. Understanding what people need to know and hear, how frequently they need to know it and hear it, is really fundamentally what communication is about. I think secondly, of course, it's about listening more than it is about speaking. And communication is a way for us to not just convey information, but to really learn about how we can be better, in that we're opening up doors and windows into the lives of the people we're trying to influence and support and help. And then I think the third piece about communication is just is really about transparency and authenticity, of just about being truly present and who you are in everything that you communicate. And the more that you do that, the more likely people are going to connect with what you're trying to say and communicate.
What other successful business leaders like yourself, Kyle, should be on the show, right? Who else should we be paying attention to and listening to?
Well, gosh, there's a long list of great people out there to talk to. In my own community in Atlanta, there's just an unbelievable number of great leaders. I'd point to my friend Keith Parker, who's the CEO of Goodwill of North Georgia. He's just a great, really experienced leader who's leading that organization through tremendous challenges right now. I think a friend of mine out at your way, out in Los Angeles, who is the executive director of the Eisner Foundation, Trent Stamp. He's a really smart guy doing great things in Southern California. I always think about the organization where I kind of got started, Teach for America, and the CEO there, Alyssa Villanueva Beard, is just a tremendous leader, helping that organization continue to evolve and thrive.
That's amazing. Well, thank you so much for those recommendations. I'll be sure to look those guys up and see about having them on the show. And then lastly, as you think about people who have influenced you, who's been your favorite boss or teacher? Who's really left their mark?
I've been blessed to have worked with a number of great leaders. I think the person who preceded me in my job, Bill Bowling, taught me a lot. I worked for him for a few years. He was the founder of the Atlanta Community Food Bank, led it for 36 years, really helped start the food banking movement around the country. He's a great person who's really taught me about the value of community, above and beyond just the value of executing plans and meeting objectives. I learned a tremendous amount from Wendy Kopp, the founder of Teach for America, just about resiliency and determination and how that can really get you across the finish line. And then somebody I really learned a lot from is Frank Blake, the retired CEO of Home Depot. Frank, I think really led with humility. And that humility is what I think allowed him to be successful, really turn around that company. And the lessons of that I try to practice every day.
Well, it's been such a pleasure to have you on this show, Kyle. I love all of your ideas and your insights, and especially just love the difference that you're making every day. If somebody wanted to reach out and introduce themselves, how might they reach out and say hello or learn more?
So certainly I can be found on LinkedIn. My last name is spelled Waide, and look me up there. You can certainly find me at our website at the food bank, acfb.org. Come down to Atlanta and volunteer with us once COVID passes, and help us get food to folks who need it.
Love that. I'll be sure, hopefully folks reach out and do just that. And again, this is Stacy McKibben with the Master Communicator podcast. For more ideas and insights, please do go check us out at www.concilioteam.com. And we look forward to seeing you again next time. Take care.